This is Southern Cross News with Joe Palmer.
Good evening everyone and welcome to Southern Cross News. Tasmania's child protection funding has come into question today as the hand down of the state budget draws closer. But concerns also raised that politicians from all sides continue to play the blame game rather than getting on with the job.
The time for talk is over. Tasmania's peak social service body today urging politicians on all sides to work together to protect vulnerable children amid talks of budget funding for the sector.
While we're arguing about workers and workers' numbers, we should be actually asking children and young people, what is it that will help to make your life a good life?
The government standing by its child protection policy, saying it is already seeing improvements since it launched its redesign in 2014, confirming funding will appear in next week's budget.
Yes, we will need additional resources and we want additional people working at our front line in such a crucial area.
Calls now for good policies to be backed up by resources, including tripling the current amount of child protection workers. The Greens leader and former Human Services Minister, herself saying no government had ever funded the sector adequately.
No government in Tasmania has yet invested enough in the child protection system or the family support system.
When we came to government, it was broken, and there are some tragic examples of that. We're committed to a whole redesign which is being implemented right now.
Labor today joining the call for additional staffing, saying 20 extra child safety workers were the bare minimum needed.
Tasmanians expect more from politicians. This is not about a blame game. This is about the government outlining how it is improving child safety.
But Ms Good says the time for inaction and politics is over.
It is time for whatever it takes, and what do we need to do to once and for all, in a very small state, get a single system response to the needs of our most vulnerable children.
Michelle Wisby, Southern Cross News.
An investigation is underway into how 12 penguins died at Low Head. The carcasses were found in a garbage bin in the area's coastal reserve and were collected by Department of Primary Industries wildlife rangers on Wednesday. The deceased penguins are now at Mount Pleasant Laboratories and autopsies are being conducted.
I'm horrified every time this story comes up. We've got to do a lot better. It makes me bloody angry actually that this is still happening. The fencing needs to be upgraded. We have potential to have community volunteer patrols and to train dogs like Baramas that we've seen work really well and really effectively in penguin colonies.
I can assure you that once we understand fully how and why the deaths occurred, there should and will be mitigating measures put in place.
Autopsy results are expected to be known next week. Tasmania's future kindergarten students are set to be winners in next week's budget. The state government says $15 million over 4 years will go towards building brand new early learning facilities and major upgrades in dozens of schools.
They're some of our state's youngest students, and it's children like this set to reap the benefits of next week's state budget. Forth Primary is one of the big winners and will have a brand new kindergarten building built in the next 4 years.
The current kindergarten is a mishmash of different sort of build-ons, and so it's not a big space for the students.
9 other schools will also receive funding for brand new purpose-built early childhood facilities. A further 18 schools, including St Helens District, Glenorchy and Latrobe Primary, will have their kindergartens refurbished, and 79 others will be gifted funding for minor upgrades.
Early learning facilities such as our new kindergartens are so important. It's important for the well-being of our students, and our students engage and they learn well in comfortable and safe environments.
The $15 million in kindergarten funding resulted from a 12-month school infrastructure audit.
Schools are more than just buildings and bricks and mortar. We need to ensure that our schools have the resources, the teachers and the specialist staff.
The Education Minister says the government will see through its election promise to employ new education workers.
We've committed to an additional 250 teachers over the next 6 years and an additional 80 teacher assistants as well.
Monique Dadson at Southern Cross News.
The Greens candidate for the upcoming Braddon by-election has been unveiled. Indigenous Ranger Jared Edwards, who grew up in Wynyard, will run for the MHR seat. He says he'll campaign on issues like raising the minimum wage and increasing New Start allowance.
I've got a lot of people in my community and a lot of my friends that live in public housing and that can't afford to make ends meet, and they really struggle to pay their bills, so I understand what it's like, so I'm really interested to help a lot of people in the area, and of course advocating for the cultural and natural values of the area.
Mr Edwards will run against the Liberals' Brett Whiteley and Labor's Justine Kay. A 24-year-old Mornington man has been arrested following a ram raid in Sandy Bay on Tuesday morning. A stolen vehicle was allegedly smashed into Claudia Jewellers in Magnet Court, with the offenders then believed to have raided the business. At around 10:30 this morning, the man from Mornington was arrested driving a stolen car. Tasmania Police say he's assisting them on a number of other matters, including recent burglaries in Hobart and Sandy Bay. Anyone with information is urged to contact Crime Stoppers. 2 men have been charged following the alleged arson of a Mowbray property earlier on Wednesday. The 20 and 23-year-olds fronted the Launceston Magistrates Court today, both facing arson charges. Police allege the Scamander men set fire to an unoccupied dwelling at Vermont Road in Mowbray, which resulted in significant damage. The pair will reappear at a later date. Tasmania Police is urging people to stay safe on the water this long weekend following several boating accidents that have occurred in Tasmania this month. Boaters are being encouraged to be prepared, check the weather and to pay attention.
It's important people check their safety equipment and make sure that it's serviceable, but also make sure that it's accessible to people on the boat.
It's really important before they go out this weekend to ensure that they're getting the weather forecast, to ensure they're looking at their safety gear and to make sure that they're going to make the right decision even before they go on the water.
Our main message is we want people to enjoy their time out in the water over this long weekend, but we also want them to return safely home as well.
This weekend will see an increase of police patrols on the water statewide. Well, for years you've known us as Southern Cross News, but tonight we have some exciting news for you. As of July 1, you'll be tuning into 7 News Tasmania when you join us at 6. But not to worry, it's just a name change. We're still the same crew, including Murph, with the same faces delivering all the latest news straight to your living room.
What it means is we're actually working closer with our 7 affiliates. We have the exact same team that'll be fronting our news 7 days a week, and also the same Grade 7 programming, including football, and we're very excited this year to have the Big Bash coming on board.
The company ownership and Tasmanian staffing will remain the same. Tasmania's leading educators came together today to discuss just how they're going to equip students with the skills of the future. The CEDA conference in Hobart questioning what our educational institutions are doing to ensure young people will be able to gain work in coming years. Keeping graduates in the state, predicting future needs and being adaptable, the key themes of the day.
While you might start your undergraduate degree, which will take you to a job, the university needs to continue to be there throughout people's lives as their jobs continue to change and they need new skills.
TasTAFE's new CEO, Jenny Dodd, also speaking on the discussion panel. The entire cast of hit comedy series Rosehaven was back in Tasmania today, ready to start shooting the show's 3rd season. Coming together in Hobart to table read the first episode of the new season, stars Luke McGregor and Celia Procola had the room in stitches. Tasmania will once again be at the centre of the series, with filming locations including Oatlands, Geeveston and Richmond.
Be able to come back and increase our family with people returning from the last 2 seasons and the new people coming on board is wonderful, and hopefully we'll be able to bring back a couple of Logies for you as well.
Filming will begin later this month. Mona Museum is again set to intrigue crowds with its new exhibition Zero today opening for a sneak peek. Its founder, David Walsh, unofficially launching the latest drawcard, saying he'll continue to push the boundaries with his ideas.
Never reluctant to speak his mind.
Well, you know, you've never heard the phrase, come upstairs and see my etchings? This is very much come downstairs and see my etchings. But because I'm a talentless git, I have to get a series of individuals to create something worth having.
David Walsh settling in to the latest exhibition at his museum, sharing a rare insight on camera.
Could be good, it could be great, it could be terrible. And without the capacity for it to be terrible, it won't be interesting, because there is only risk in merit.
Mona's latest draw card, Zero, a movement born from artists who collaborated in post-war Germany.
This idea that things aren't exactly right and how can we look forward and change things. And I think that the Zero artist, that's still very relevant.
Its guest curator is a nephew of an original artist. He says the movement crossed geographical and conceptual borders and remains influential today. Much of it a reconstruction of that shown in the 1950s.
So they made works which could communicate with the public also, but with their colleague.
Artists creating works with any available materials, using bottles to smash, installations to walk through or listen to. This installation is just one of 60 here at Mona's new exhibition, with 4,500 people expected to attend tomorrow night's opening event. Meanwhile, Mona's Dark Mofo Winter Festival kicks off tonight with installations such as this virtual reality experience set to draw in crowds of all ages.
I think every year it's kind of getting bigger and better, and the opportunity to present even more exciting and new works like this one, it's pretty amazing.
For me, the fear is not pushing the boundaries, it's re-inhabiting the centre.
Louise Hedger, Southern Cross News.
More than 24 antique dealers are selling their wares at the Tasmanian Antiques Fair this weekend. The annual event winds back the clock, offering a range of rare items to buyers.
Paintings, prints, jewellery, glassware, china, silver, anything that you could sort of describe as an antique or decorative art is here in the hall.
This year marks the 21st anniversary of the event. Around 3,500 people are expected to pass through the Albert Hall for the fair, which is running all long weekend. Former Greens leader Bob Brown has teamed up with sustainable clothing brand Patagonia in a bid to have the Tarkine protected as a World Heritage listed national park. The collaboration today launching a film called Takinya as part of a campaign to raise global awareness of the threats it says pose to the northwest region of Tasmania.
If we can overcome them and replace them instead of with threat, with the enhancement of the tracks and the presentation to the world of this area is intact, it's going to be a great win for Tasmania.
Takinya will be screened across the country until June 23. Stricter dog laws have been proposed by the Kingborough Council in a bid to regulate where people can walk their dogs. But not everyone is happy. The Kingborough Dog Walking Association says the council is failing to give canines and their owners a fair go.
These loyal dog owners may soon find it tricky to let their pups run around in the Kingborough area, with part of this park in Taroona potentially one area to be shut off.
As you can see where they're proposing to close it off, it's all the flat area. My father, who's in his 90s, won't be able to come and be with his dog in the park anymore.
This is a really good focus here, but by reducing it to where it's only going to be a steep slope with big cracks and quite dangerous for elderly people to walk, I think it'll be a reduced number for fitness for people.
A new draft of a dog management policy has been released by the Kingborough Council, proposing stricter dog laws and limiting areas already used by dog walkers.
Dogs need to be able to run. If you see them running, you can see the difference. And they need to be able to run in areas that are safe for owners, because many owners of dogs are people who've retired, for whom flat areas are pretty important.
And unhappy people are unhappy dogs, and it damages the whole community. We're there for the whole community.
I'd really like to see them genuinely, in good faith, consult with not only our group, but all groups, and preferably bringing the groups together.
The Mayor of Kingborough, Steve Wass, has responded to the policy's criticisms, saying that this is an opportunity for people to have their say on this issue and that we need to find a middle ground. Submissions close on June 25th. Ruby Kamain, Southern Cross News.
Now let's take a look at the day's business and finance news with thanks to Tasplan, your local super fund. The Australian share market has ended the week on a downbeat note on a day of low trading volumes as investors hold fire ahead of this weekend's G7 meeting in Canada. The ASX 200 index has dropped by 16 points. A short time ago, the Australian dollar was trading at 75.91 US cents and 108.15 New Zealand cents.
Sam Lonergan has swung the axe at Launceston, making 5 changes after its shock loss to Lauderdale. But one of the club's favourite sons will play a milestone game in the clash against Clarence. It's likely to be the tightest game of the round, a battle between the second and third place sides with an extra element of fanfare, as forward Sonny Whiting runs out for his 150th game, a player who stuck by the club during its cellar dweller years from 2014 to 2016.
We basically won 3 or 4 games per year and were on the end of some 100-point losses, and Sonny was one of those players that stuck through the thick and thin with the footy club.
Whiting's high point was a premiership in 2011, something still in reach for Launceston this year if its early run of form returns.
Not a great thing to lose, but taking a positive out of it was a good time of year to get a bit of a whack between the eyes and straighten us up a little bit.
Clarence is flying high on a 4-game winning streak. A win tomorrow will lift the side to equal second on percentage.
Brady Jones will definitely play. Look, I think Launceston will bounce back this week. They're a good team, so we know we're going to be up against it on their home deck.
It's on at Windsor Park from 2 o'clock tomorrow. King Island's Stuart McSwain has broken the Tasmanian 10,000 metres record at the Oslo Diamond League meet this morning. In a photo finish, McSwain crossed the line in second, but his time of 28 minutes and 5 seconds means McSwain now holds the Tasmanian record in every distance from the mile to the 10,000 metres. And a sport of a different kind to finish off tonight. Tasmania is preparing to host the National Tractor Plowing Championship. And as our local entrants will tell you, it's a sport demanding skill and superfine precision. This paddock in Cressy is today a training ground. The churn of competitive ploughing rings 1 week out from the national titles.
You've just got to keep practicing, keep ploughing, learn how the machine works for you.
Colin Byrne has been ploughing all his life, but only started competing 6 years ago. He's since ploughed in Kenya at a world championship for the sport.
We're not to use any GPS or anything other than ourselves to be able to plough.
Everyone just thinks, oh, the straightness is the first one. Well, of course, that's one part of it, but that's only one section out of 10 points.
Ploughing has been a cornerstone of crop production for hundreds of years, but doing it for a judging panel only started in the 1950s, and that's where these machines come in. The mechanical grandfathers of the game gathered in the special vintage category of competition.
You know, you work by acres per hour, not hours per acre like you do with this type of thing.
This model is still going strong 60 years after it first faced a field.
We have come out for a day or two and make a mess in people's paddocks.
A state title will be held tomorrow before the Nationals come to Cressy next Friday and Saturday.
Good evening. Bushy Park and Hobart, our warmest temperatures today, 18 degrees. Launceston and Burnie 15, Devonport a top of 16. Temperatures above average again for this time of year. Plenty of rain overnight, 50 millimetres at Lake Augusta, while 44 fell at Pine Tree Rivulet. Today though, a bit lighter. Devonport recorded 9 to top the list. Friendly Beaches 17 degrees, King Island, St Helens and Ouse 16, Flinders Island, Strawn and Low Head all 15 degrees. The strong northwesterly airstream pushed the cloud over Tasmania as a weakening front crossed the state. Most of the cloud, of course, they're off to the northeast. Rain is falling over South Australia, Victoria and New South Wales from the upper and middle level cloud that extended through those states. Low level cloud is following in behind the cold front. A broad area of high pressure will sit over much of Australia tomorrow, with centres over Victoria and New South Wales. A front moving into the picture well to the west. West to southwest winds up to 20 to 30 knots over the far south, easing in the afternoon. 10 to 20 knot winds over remaining waters will become more variable by evening, swells to 4 metres. And just a strong wind warning, that's for waters between Tasman Island and Low Rocky Point. We kick off the long weekend in Hobart with a sunny day and a top of 15 degrees, 12 the high for Maydena, maybe a morning shower but that'll clear, a top of 11 for Oatlands and sunny there. For Launceston, morning fog, then a sunny afternoon, 15 the top, 15 for Devonport, Lyawini a top of 8 degrees. Burnie, mostly sunny and 15. A shower for Strawn, 14 the top, and Marrawar partly cloudy and 14 degrees. St Helens for the big festival on the weekend, 15 degrees, 15 for Swansea, and Orford a sunny day and 15 as well, all looking good. On Sunday, fine again and mostly sunny apart from a possible light shower later over Devonport and Burnie. Another shower for the northwest on Monday, but fine elsewhere after morning fog, and showers over the central and north on Tuesday, extending statewide in the evening. Showers and a late storm for Perth tomorrow, a shower clearing from Melbourne, wet weather for Canberra and Sydney, a cloudy 23 in Brisbane. Little cloudy here as well, 12 degrees in Hobart, partly cloudy in Launceston, 12 and 12 degrees in Devonport. And Jo, our long weekend starts now. Woohoo!
It certainly does. Thank you very much for that, Murph. Have a great long weekend, everyone. We will see you a little later with updates though. Goodbye.